Hi, this is Bob Robotti, and we're doing an interview now with Lansing, Hunter, and Lansing Business Products is the newest member of the Markel family. Markel's excited, I think, to have bought into the business. Lansing, tell us, what is the business, how does it work, and
Sure.
What are you doing, what's the product offering?
So Lansing Building Products, what we do, we are a distributor of high quality, low maintenance exterior building products.
Mm-hmm.
So our core products are siding, windows, doors,
Mm-hmm.
roofing, and gutter.
Mm-hmm.
And so we sell to professional builders, contractors, and remodelers. So basically, if you were to Google replacement windows, New York, the folks that show up in that Google search, or if we're doing our jobs right, those are our customers.
Right. Right. And again, that's the repair remodel business is the bulk of the business that you do?
Repair and remodel is about 75% of what we do.
Right.
The other 25% is mostly single family new construction, a little bit of commercial, and that's what we call multifamily, apartment complexes, that kind of thing.
And again, you're not selling to the do-it-yourself. You're selling to a
No.
professional contractor who's being hired to do this work.
Exactly. It's all professional contractors. We don't sell to homeowners.
Right. So the first question I think everybody would be curious is, okay, so we're in the middle of a pandemic, something that hadn't been anticipated. So what's been the impact on your business of that?
So the impact from the pandemic itself has been very good. So from the beginning of the pandemic, March, April, it was bad. We were down 35%. Right. By the middle of May, we realized, you know what, this is actually going to be okay, we think, because as you probably know, Bob, a lot of people were building homes. A lot of people with the stay-at-home economy decided they had to stay and work from home. And so there was a lot of fixing up what they had.
Right.
And so that significantly impacted our business. And really since May of 2020, business has been phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Very good. Mm-hmm. And so the pandemic has been this stay-at-home economy trend, and people working from home, spending more time in their homes, has had a very nice impact on our business.
What we have heard, though, I think, is that availability, costs, all of those things of the products that you distribute, have had radical adjustments, and that whether that's, as I said, cost or availability. So how's that impacted the business?
So that has also impacted the business negatively. There is such an imbalance going on right now with supply and demand. So just incredible, almost unquenchable demand is what we're seeing as we talk right now. Right. And that's because of the pandemic, but that's also because of other factors like low interest rates, and other things of that nature, and the millennials and household formation. It's all is what's causing this really very strong demand. Right. And so what that's doing is it's putting a lot of strain on our key suppliers, roofing manufacturers and siding and window manufacturers. They're under fire a lot because of that. And so it really starts in the beginning of the pandemic. Those first 6, 7, 8 weeks, a lot of the manufacturers just hit the pause button and they said, we're going to see what happens. And so they laid off a lot of people. They have been playing catch up ever since.
Right. And how much is, you hear labor and in construction, it's got to be, how much has that constrained the growth in the businesses, your customer laborers issues?
And so that to me is the really interesting part. That's also constrained it as well. It's just the amount of labor that's out there has really acted as a governor in our country, and homeowners and whoever being able to build homes and remodel homes. Right. And so that has played a big factor. I would say, though, that's the interesting piece, is that has kept us from, I think, really just having this enormous bubble that would burst very quickly. Mm-hmm. I think it's keeping us in this nice space where we can only build or remodel but so much. Right. And so the bubble isn't going to get but so, because we're hardly keeping up with demand as a country, and at least for single family and multifamily housing.
Right. And were there trends underway? What do you think the longer term future looks like, an opportunity set in front of you at Lansing?
Just overall in our space as a distributor, the future, I believe, is very bright for a handful of reasons. I think just the millennial generation, the 30 somethings getting married and having families, and moving into new homes and buying new homes, that is going to be, from what I read, very strong for a long period of time. So that's really the big one. Who knows what's going to happen with interest rates? They're inevitably going to go up at some point in time. They're not going to stay next to zero for this for much longer. But I do think, though, that household formation will be very strong. And so that'll be a very positive thing for our business and our industry overall, I think, for the next 5, 6, 7 years. Now, the wild card is, of course, interest rates. Another wild card is inflation. Who knows? But just the underlying factors of what's going on out there, it's very strong in our space.
So how's life changed for you from being a family-owned business to being part of the Markel Ventures group?
It's changed a lot, and it's changed for the positive. It has been a wonderful, great change for us. And so I can remember what happened to Lansing is we had an opportunity to do an acquisition. And so when we wanted, and it was going to be a transformational acquisition for us. And so when we took a close, hard look at it, we knew that we needed a financial partner to be able to comfortably do this. And so as we were looking around and doing our due diligence on different financial potential partners, naturally, being in Richmond, Markel came to mind. I didn't really know Markel that well. I really didn't know. I knew their reputation, but I didn't know those individuals. And so I'll never forget, and we looked at close to a dozen different private equity groups and then Markel. I'll never forget my very first time sitting down with Tom Gaynor and Mike Eaton and Andrew Crowley and asking very simple questions like, how involved in the business are you going to be, and what's this going to look like? And from almost the very first sentence, it was, we're going to provide you a high level of autonomy. You're going to have an incredible amount of independence. And so I was like, okay, well, that sounds nice, but really, how often are we going to talk to each other? And I'll never forget, Tom said to me, we ask that you talk to us at least once a quarter for board meetings. And if that's all you want to do is talk to us once a quarter, then that's fine. But we do want to talk to you 4 times a year. But we really want you to be independent and just continue running the good business that you're running and provide you this high level of autonomy. I can tell you they have been all of that and a whole lot more. It has been a wonderful partnership. They are incredible partners, supportive, excited. I just have nothing but just glowing things to say about the way that's been, what life has been like with them for the past year. Now, of course, I do, my brothers and my father are no longer, my father is our chairman. It's more of an honorary type role as, but my brothers are no longer involved in the business. My sister was never involved in the day-to-day, but they're all gone. But what I would say is we are the next generation of a family business in our partnership with Markel. And it continues to be my wife and I and these other wonderful 1,600 Lansing associates spread around the country that have really built and grown the business in amazing ways over the past 65 years.
Excellent.
So it's been good.
Anything else that's, really interesting, important, transformational for the business?
For us, again, as a next generation family business, we exist to make a positive impact in people's lives, and that's why we exist. And that was one of the things that really drew me to Markel, is that they shared that why we exist. They shared our culture, they shared our values. And so we want to be able to exist for another 65 years and to continue to make a positive impact in people's lives. And so I believe that we will be able to do that, and we'll be able to do that even stronger platform and partnership with Markel.
Okay, very good. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you.
Great, Hunter. Okay,
appreciate it.
Okay, my pleasure. Great talking with you.
Sounds good.
Right now I'm with Joche Smith. Joche, what the farms does, and give us a quick overview of the business.
Costa Farms has been in business for 60 years. We've been part of the Markel family for about 3.5 years, and we basically grow ornamental plants. So we're farmers that grow plants, grow things that you don't eat. So we grow ornamental plants. We ship them to the big boxes. Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart are our biggest customers. We also sell to the supermarket channel. We do a decent amount of business online, but and the product lines include things like annuals, perennials, right, indoor plants, orchids, cacti, and succulents, wide variety of plants.
Great. So one of the questions I have is the pandemic we're living through and how it's affected businesses. And I'm curious, what's been the impact of to date for the forever and now? So what's the now impact of where we are today?
Yeah. So when the pandemic started, there was a lot of closures, and we had April is our biggest month every year, right, and April of 2020 was a terrible time for us. We threw away millions and millions of dollars of plants, but frankly, when things sort of settled down and people, sort of adjusted to the pandemic, we actually had tremendous demand for our product. So we spent the entire year, after April, from May to December last year, sort of catching up and doing everything we could just to sort of meet demand. Right. So while it did create a lot of uncertainty, demand for our product over the last 12, 13 months now, ever since we've been in the COVID pandemic, has been very, very strong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And what other impacts has it had in the business besides first the slowdown and then the huge demand in terms of costs, and what are the issues in front of you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there's kind of three different areas that I look at that have, some of them have changed, some of them have been consistent for the last 13 or 14 months. I mean, the biggest change has probably been in transportation. Last year, while the economy was still pretty soft, it was easy for us to secure all the transportation we needed to ship our plants all across the country. We ship them, all over the continental U.S. As the economy's picked back up, it's been actually, our transportation expenses are way up, 30% actually over last year. So it's been very, very difficult to secure trucks at reasonable rates this spring. So that's been tough. Something that's been fairly consistent the entire time, the last 13 or 14 months, it's been difficult to get labor. And people, guess, is it because of the unemployment benefits or different things that are going on? We're not exactly sure, but we have fewer and fewer people coming into our doors looking for work. Mm-hmm. So we're doing more with less, but we're getting to the point now where it's actually catching up to us. We're having a difficult time getting all the product we need just pulled from the fields and onto the docks and onto the trucks to ship them out to our customers. Mm-hmm. More overtime, just more premium payments that we're making, and not enough employees. Mm-hmm. And then one last thing too is materials. This is something that we had talked about. So materials, even the pallet expense, cardboard expense, all those things, are much, much higher than we budgeted this year.
And given all those cost pressures, has there been any relief in terms of pricing? How does that kind of work its way through the equation? Are you eating all of that, or?
Yeah, well, so I'll tell you, so a little bit of both. I mean, this is the first time in the 29 years that I've been at Costa that we've actually got price increases in the middle of spring. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the retailers that we're dealing with, they understand. I mean, like on the home improvement side for Lowe's and Home Depot, they're all paying much more for their lumber, for many different products. Right. So generally speaking, when you talk to a customer in April or in May, they really don't want to hear about it. They say, look, let's deal with this after spring. They've already got their budgets made and everything, but they do understand that we literally need relief just to be able to get them the product that they need for spring. So I would say, generally speaking, we've got a decent amount of relief. My concern, frankly, is not that we're not getting the relief, but is that, as we get relief, what we're doing is passing this all on to the consumer, and we're raising retails. And as of right now, we have not seen a lot of elasticity. Frankly, we're still moving the product that we had produced this year. Demand has been very strong. But I do get to a point where I'm concerned if retails continue to go, that we see a drop-off in demand. If retails continue to go up, we see a drop-off in demand.
And is there anything you're doing in terms of revenue and futures, in terms of how you're changing what you sell? Because I guess you were only in annuals in 2012. No, you were in perennials and you bought in. So
I'll tell you, so we've done indoor plants for a long time. That's the company got started indoor plants. We got into annuals in '97. We got into perennials in 2012, like you're saying. And look, our concern right now is there's been a tremendous surge in demand, and most of the producers are selling everything that they've grown. But that's going to change. Supply is going to catch up to demand. So when that starts to tail off, and we don't know exactly when that's going to be, if it'll be later this year, if it'll be sometime next year, the question is, if we've all got the same things, then who is going to sell all their product and who's going to eat their product. That's one of the tough that we're dealing with perishables. We don't, there's no decoupling of the supply chain here. When we start growing something, that product starts to grow and it's got to end up at the retailer's shelf or it ends up in the trash.
Right.
So on our end, what we've concentrated a lot on over the last couple of years, really the last several years, is differentiating our product offering. And we're really doing a pretty good job differentiating the offering. And we're kind of building our brand within our community, within the live goods community. We're working a lot with influencers, with millennials, folks that are the first-time plant buyers, and they're having an impact on what we're doing. And those folks, as they make decisions and they post things on social media, all kinds of videos and stories, it actually influences even our big box customers. They see what's happening and they want to make sure they're relevant, for the millennials, for the Gen Xers. I mean, so so differentiating the offering is really helping us, and we're hoping that when there is more supply than there is demand, that people will still vote, with their wallet and buy our product, and maybe not necessarily everybody else's.
Right. And what's it been like being part of the Markel family?
Look, these guys, we've been part of the family for 3.5 years, and I don't know that I've ever come across in the 29 years I've been at Costa with better business partners in anything that we've done, any venture we've done, anything. I mean, they are a phenomenal group of people that do exactly what they say. And we're proud to be part of the family. The amount of support that we get, along with the independence that we get to make the decisions that we need to make to run our business, is just absolutely phenomenal.
Is there anything you're doing differently internally, how you run the business, systems, processes at all that are relevant for the business?
You mean since we did the transaction with
No,
Markel?
just recently. Anything?
Oh no, so there's our planning horizon has gotten a lot better as we have a category, the indoor plant category in particular, that's growing a lot, and there is not a sophisticated supply chain where we get all of our product from that we can just dial it up by 10 or 20 or 30 or 40%. So one thing we're planning much further ahead. We're vertically integrating, our business. So we're taking much more control of our own supply chain to make sure, as we have, very lofty goals to grow our business over the next several years, that we're relying more and more on our own supply chain. So that's one of the things that's probably a little different than what we've done in the past.
Uh-huh. Is there anything else going on in the business that's relevant for what do you think will be impactful over the next couple of years?
Look, for us, one of the things that we're afraid is not really going away is the labor issue.
Uh-huh.
With transportation, you can fix the transportation issue by, perhaps, I'm not a big fan of continuing to move retails up, but by getting more cost. But we're concerned about labor not being available.
Mm-hmm.
And so even as we look at our portfolio on things that we grow, we always look at things where we make margin, more margin, and the retailers make more margin. It makes sense for us both to win. But now, what additional constraint as we're looking at our product portfolio is to understand where are the products that we're doing that are labor-intensive products. And you start to filter out some of those products. So even if they're good, healthy margin products, they're things that we have to stop doing because we're committing too many labor hours. And clearly, we're investing in things like in automation and other technologies to relieve it. But we have a lot of people. We have over 6,000 employees, and so we're counting on a lot of folks being part of our team. And that's probably the biggest concern we have right now, long term, that may limit growth.
Mm-hmm. Great, Joche, appreciate it.
Hey,
thanks so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Good? Yeah. Oh, wait, I got.